Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you. My name is Freddie Beeman, Chairman of the Board of the Brisbane Chamber of Commerce, and I would like to welcome you to our annual State of the City event. We are pleased with the turnout at this evening, our first evening of the State of the City, and are excited to hear what Mayor Lentz and City Manager Holstein are going to share with us today. I would also like to thank the team at Seton Medical Center, our event sponsor. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce a few VIPs. First, Mayor of Brisbane, Cliff Lentz. And he's on the hot seat because his mother's here, and daughter, and wife, Parks and Recreation Commissioner Karen Lentz. I also like to introduce Mayor Pro Tem Ray Miller. And he's with his lovely wife, Anya Miller, former Brisbane Mayor. Brisbane City Council Member Clark Conway. Brisbane City Council Member Terry O'Connor. Brisbane City Council Member Seppi Richardson. I also want to recognize representatives from our local political offices. Mark Hirschman from the office, Assemblymember Jerry Hill. Mark Nogales from the office of Congresswoman Jackie Spear. And George Mazingo from the office of Supervisor Adrian Tissier. He's still watching the game. Still 3-1, top of the 8th. I'd also like to recognize Bonnie Bulligaw, Chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Bonnie inside here, thank you. Ron Myers, North County Fire Chief. Luis Masaith, Brisbane Police Chief. Barbara Ebel, Open Space and Ecology Committee member. Michelle Salmon, also Open Space and Ecology Committee member. At this time, I would like for each board member to stand up from the Brisbane Chamber and introduce themselves. We'll start with
Rich Vergello, Ecology.
Larry Purcell for Saul Murray.
Barbara Bernardini, South San Francisco Scavenger Company.
Marge Bushman, I'm a green broker in town. I work mainly for nonprofits in San Francisco.
From University of Paragon.
Lori Liu, an attorney and Brisbane resident.
Mary Schulenberger, Parlay Enterprises.
Dan Tarterline, Medical Construction.
Judy Bessa, Village.
Perfect. Yes, everyone. I'd also like to thank the Radisson Hotel and Zebag Restaurant for their assistance with the planning of this event and this evening, the wonderful presentation, the hors d'oeuvres. Let's give them a round of applause. So all of us at the Chamber support the work that the City Council and staff do each and every day to serve our community. By moving this event to the evening, we have attempted to grow the circle of those who can attend. And we're very thankful for the attendance tonight. At this time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to City Council Manager Clay Holstein, who will start the presentation. At this time, I'll try to be the perfect moderator.
Thanks, Freddie. I want to make it clear that I do not intend to manage the city council. I'll take responsibility for the staff and all that. That's as far as it goes. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this annual event, and also for having the thought to move this to the evening and try to get a larger audience and make it more convenient for people to attend. So I'm glad that we're trying this out this year, and we'll see how this goes. I'm going to spend a few minutes really kind of with more of an internal focus with regards to the state of the city of Brisbane, and then the mayor is going to take more of an external focus. And frankly, I got kind of the dry, financial, boring stuff, and he got the exciting project stuff. So we'll, that's why he's the mayor, right? So to really understand kind of the state of the city in 2012, we kind of have to go back to 2007. In the fall of 2007, city's finance director, Stuart Schillinger, and myself started to have the first kind of conversations around the long term of 5-10 years out and where we were going to be. And we really saw that there were some real structural problems and some real structural issues if we were going to be able to continue to operate and provide the level of services that we were currently providing to the community, and be able to maintain the facilities of the community. And we really started our process in early 2007, or late 2007. By early 2008, we had actually sat down with the department heads and adopted a plan, and that was a 5-year reorganization that would bring us into a long-term structural balance. And in 2012, I think we are pretty much there. We have been successful at being able to work our way through the financial crisis that happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, to deal with the pension issues, healthcare issues, and a fairly significant reduction in staff, but still be able to make our commitment, and that was to continue to provide the basic services that we've been providing to the community, business community and residential community, police and fire, streets, parks and recreation, planning, engineering, all those basic city services, and they'd be able to maintain the facilities that we had and the basic programs that we had. So this past year in the spring, we adopt the budget every year, and we had a pretty robust debate at the city council level and at the staff level with regards to this year's budget and really what we were going to be doing going forward. And I'm happy to say now that we are a little bit into the year, we are looking basically at a balanced budget for 2012-13, and we have actually been in the black in the last 2 years, and we're anticipating being able to be in the black this year. So it'll be 3 years running that we've had more revenues coming in than we've had expenses. Our property tax has been slightly down, and I think that we all recognize the housing bubble and the housing issues. That has a direct impact on the city revenues in terms of property tax. They have been down from where they were 4 or 5 years ago. Sales tax issue, and I'll get into that a little more as we move along here, but that has been basically flat for the last several years. Again, reflective of an economy that's been pretty stagnant. One area that we have seen some growth in is the hotel tax. The hotels, we have 2 in Brisbane, and they have had a steady, if not spectacular, growth over the last several years, and they are now doing about $1.5 million worth of revenue to the city on an annual basis. So as I spoke before, in terms of our 5-year reorganization, we're down in staff about 27% in terms of total numbers of employees. That's a little bit less than $3 million in reduction in cost. And we've been able to basically maintain the services that we provide, not without stress in certain areas, and not certainly without long-term maintenance issues that we are going to be addressing in this upcoming year and the years to come. I certainly don't want to suggest for a moment that you can suffer a 27% reduction in personnel and a $3 million cut in your expenditures and not have any impacts. But I really think that the employees of the city have really stepped up with the guidance and support of the city council to be able to kind of maintain the services that we expect in this community and that the community deserves and needs. So in the midst of all this, we got hit with kind of a bombshell. Somewhere around 2009, 10, we first started getting rumors and started hearing that Van Waters and Rogers, who had been a company that's been in Brisbane for decades, probably 40, 50 years, 50 years, was suddenly going to be moving out to the valley, to Visalia, and leaving Brisbane. This was an 18.5% hit to our general fund on top of everything else we were dealing with the Great Recession. We did get a lot of good support from our legislators, but it was ultimately not successful in turning the tide, and VWR will be completely out of Brisbane, it appears at this point, by the end of the calendar year. So, we have been having long-term discussions with Recology, who, as you know, operates or straddles the border between San Francisco and Brisbane. We had brought before the voters in late 2011 or 2011 election a ballot measure to increase the fee for the Recology business license up to $3 million. I didn't realize I had lost my screen here. This past Monday, the City Council passed a resolution to implement the beginning part of that fee, which is going to be about $2.1 million for this upcoming fiscal year, and will be at that level over the next 3 to 4 years. And we anticipate with that we are making up the money that we're losing from VWR, and that we'll be able to have a balanced budget over that period of time. As you are aware, in city government, we have fairly strict state laws that govern our employee contracts. This past year, we went through a pretty long and, as you can imagine, difficult process to come to agreement on some short-term labor contracts. Those contracts saw all the employees in the city have a reduction in salary ranging from 1% to 2%, and it also capped our health insurance cost at the 2012 level for calendar year 2013. We'll be back into labor negotiations next year, and that we're hoping to be able to put into, kind of institutionalize some of the changes that we did this year, especially in the healthcare area. I'm going to get a little bit later into pensions. The other kind of bombshell that came out of Sacramento was the dissolution of redevelopment agencies. And your first thought may be that, well, a redevelopment agency is unto itself and it doesn't really have any impact on the city itself. But that's not really true. We have a number of revenues that come through the redevelopment agency. They also support our affordable housing program. And long term, it is the way that we can pay at least part of the infrastructure cost for a development such as the Baylands. It's what was used to develop the Sierra Point, this area out here, the off-ramps that you see out there, and some of the water and sewer projects out in this area. It was also used in the development of the Brisbane Marina. The resolution, or the state legislature made a decision to dissolve the redevelopment agencies, and so we're now going through a process, as are all cities that have redevelopment agencies, to dissolve the agency. over a period of time. That has financial impacts, and certainly has impacts in terms of how we look at development going into the future. A lot of those impacts are still not completely clear. May be shocking to all of you, but when the state legislature writes laws, they don't always write them in a way that becomes really clear as to what the implementation of those it might be. So we are, like most cities in San Mateo County that have redevelopment agencies, and I think there are probably about a dozen cities that do. We're all kind of going through this process together and kind of learning as we go along. But this will, I think, have significant ramifications statewide in the long run. The last item is, I believe it's the last item I have, is pension reform. You may have heard that in late August, the state legislature passed a pension reform bill and made some changes. This will have some impact for the city going forward, but the truth is that the impacts are going to be fairly minimal in the short run. There may be some value in the long run. I suspect that the legislature may have to come back and visit this issue because we're, one recession away from having significant problems in this area again. There are some opportunities that we will have in terms of maybe greater cost sharing between employees and the city with regards to the pension system. And there are new employees into the system will have come in a slightly less generous program, which will have a little bit less cost. But the impacts of this are going to be very small in the short run. Certainly in my tenure, I'm sure it will be almost negligible. Stuart's a young guy. He'll be around for a while. Maybe he'll be able to see realize some of the benefit of this. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, and I think we'll probably field questions after we're both done.
First time I've ever used the clicker, so thank you. Thank you for being here tonight, and it's an honor to be standing here and presenting the State of the City address to all of you. Before I start, though, I was hoping that we could give a warm appreciation to our sponsors, our sponsor for tonight's evening, and that's the Seton Medical Center. I'd also would like us to give a warm appreciation for the folks who organized tonight's event. And these guys have been such a major component of what makes our town a really great place to live. They've been involved with schools. They've given money to worthy students for scholarships. If there's something going on in the community where we need to raise a little extra money, these guys are there, and it's our very own Brisbane Chamber of Commerce. Also, any great organization needs a great leader, and we've been very blessed over the last several years, to have a guy on the chamber that. He loves his town as if he lives here. I mean, it's amazing that he doesn't. He's from Pacifica, but he would never know that. He values our small town commitments. He really takes pride in trying to establish economic development that will eventually create the revenue that will provide the services for our town. And so, I work with this guy. I guess we meet about once a month in our economic development subcommittee meetings, and he's the eyes and ears out in the not just our own town, but also in the region and the state about things that are happening economically. And he brings it to the meetings, and then Clark and I, who are on that subcommittee, we bring it to the council, and of course, staff is there too, taking in that information. And so, let's give it up to Ms. Bull, our CEO and president. You know, one of the things that that the chamber does is that they're that conduit that connects the city, the elected officials, the citizens, the schools, and the nonprofits to the business community. And so they're a major part in helping to form that whole community. And, you know, we're all working together. And, you know, not too many cities are like that. We're very unique. And so it helps when everybody's chipping in. Everyone's got a seat at the table to get things done that we all value and really love. And so tonight, you know, that's going to be my thing in my presentation, is to show you some of the things that we're working on that really show great community spirit. Now this is a rendition of our new playground that's going to be installed in our Central Park, our community park. And over the last couple of years, we've been working hard to make this happen. And so we've had the Park and Rec Commission working with the community, trying to come up with a game plan to replace the old structure that was there. And that structure had been there quite a while, and it was becoming dangerous for the kids. And so with that collaboration with the commission and the community, they came up with this fantastic playground design. There's also a subcommittee that worked on that too. I see Clark over there, and Ray was on it as well. And so, but you know, to put in this new playground, it's going to cost some money. It was over $251,000 to put in this new playground. Now, luckily for us, there was a trust from the Seton Medical Foundation. There was a grant from the state, and we had some in lieu fees that were dedicated to parks. But that only raised about $209,000. So we were about $43,000 short. And as Clay had mentioned, we were in really bad financial straits, with BWR leaving and uncertain about recology. And so when you have that large of potential deficit, you're going to be pretty tight with spending. And so we had to look and find alternative methods of raising that money. And so one of the things that we did, we looked at a grant from this organization called Kaboom. Now, Kaboom is a nonprofit that is a nationwide organization, and they give $20,000 grants to cities to create playgrounds. But it's when you're dealing with free money, there's going to be a lot of competition. And so luckily we had Carolyn Chung, who she just did a fabulous job navigating the system, connecting with the community, writing the letters, and I helped out a little bit, and we wound up being recognized as one of 2012 Playful Cities USA cities. So we were recognized. There was 213 of these cities, but that didn't mean that we were getting the money. We were just being recognized, and so that was the criteria. You had to be recognized in order to get this money, and only 25 of these grants were going to be given out of $20,000. So Carolyn dug a little bit deeper, worked a little bit harder. Sure enough, we got the $20,000. So that was pretty amazing. So this goes up to Caroline. Right, so we get the 20,000, but now we're still short about 23. And so we reached out to our community, and these guys are like the cavalry. When things are going bad, and you need that backup, these guys always come in and deliver. And it's the Lions Club, right? So, so the Lions Club put in a little sweat equity for us, and they worked on demolishing the play structure along with Mike Glenn. And so by doing that, we were able to shave off $9,000 of the total cost to build the playground. Still short. We were short $13,500. Well, reached out to the community. And this time, we looked, these guys are like the new blood in town, the new energy, right? The Lions Club, they've been around for decades, generations. This is a new group. And these guys are just as dedicated, just, have that same type of, okay, give us a challenge and we'll take it on type of mentality. And so they came up with a plan to raise that additional money. And I'm talking about the mob. The mob is, if every city had a mob, there would be no problems in cities. I tell you this. And so we had this $13,500 shortfall.
Mothers of Brisbane, not really the mob.
That's right, the Mothers of Brisbane. And so they came up with this plan to do these stars. And we have this bench, this cement bench, kind of wall thing. And they said, okay, let's turn this into something that's really attractive and makes us money. So they did these stars. And, just like how you need that leader to rally the troops, I'm really glad that these two people are in the room tonight because they are, they're superstars amongst the group. And I'm glad they're here as Jessica Loft and Jennifer Biscay. And so, they not only raised the $13,500, they blew it out of the park. Right? They raised over $28,000. Right? $20,000.
And can I say there's still some stars available?
That's right. It's still
We
counting.
have an opportunity to raise maybe 4,000 more, so if anyone's interested, come help us.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. And so now we have this opportunity to build this thing, right? In the midst of economic uncertainty. And it was all about getting the community, everybody in the community together. Right? You have the appointed officials and the staff, and we're working with the nonprofits and the citizens and the business community. They all work together. And it's going to happen. I wish I had a photo of kids playing on it right now. We've had a little, mishap with scheduling, but probably in November, hopefully, we'll have it. And there's Mike Glenn who wound up coming with the lowest bid, winning the contract and doing the work, and he also did a bunch of extra work too. So so when you have local folks doing local work, that's the way that it should be. All right, that's how you help grow your local economy. Talking about local economy, one of the really just wonderful surprises of the year was having this guy Jerry Lammy come into the council's chamber and said, "Hey, I want to start farmers market." And we always thought, we're too small to have a farmer's market. Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I want to do it. And, he came before us Monday night because we only gave him a 6-month permit. And he said, I want to keep on doing it. Right? And so he's found a way to make it work. And so, we're going to keep that going. So you start to see the synergy that's happening at the community park. What's the next thing to do? Maybe it's having a festival at the park that brings in folks. Maybe we do a race and we have a little expo in the park trying to raise money and raising money not just for the city but also for the nonprofits that are part of our community as well. The next project I want to talk about is the community center. And the community center, at one time, and that's where everything happened. Now we still do a bunch of things there. BDW has their their classes, we have Park and Rec classes, the seniors do their meetings there, and of course we have the library upstairs. But back in the day, that's where the council meetings were. That's where all the other commission and committee meetings were being held. And but of course now we do those meetings at City Hall. But over time, those uses have added some wear and tear to the facility. And so we were having stains on the carpets in the library, the paint on the walls, and the community center were peeling. The hardwood floors needed refinishing. You can see this linoleum here was splitting. It was a hazard. And so, again, we're in that situation where money's tight. We're not sure how to come up with the money because we've allocated the funds for other things. And so what we did was we reached out to an organization called Rebuilding Together. And Rebuilding Together is a nationwide organization that primarily helps homeowners who, for whatever financial reasons, and perhaps maybe they might be ill or they're elderly, and they cannot keep their home safe and comfortable. And so they come in there with a bunch of volunteers and they do the work. Now, recently, over the last, maybe 10 years or so, they started to branch out and work with churches, work with nonprofits, and work with cities on public buildings. And so we invited them to come to the community center, take a look, and say, okay, what do you think? They said, yeah, we really love this type of work. We're excited about doing this project. And so what Rebuilding Together did for us, they created this framework for which that we could take this dream of improving the center and having and realizing that those desires. And so what they do is they first identify what the work that needs to be done, and then they help you with raising the money. And so one of the things that they did was they went out to Hitachi, and they were able to raise $5,000 from Hitachi. Right, so we started with this $5,000 seed money. We then reached out to the Lions Club, and they donated $10,000. And then we reached out to the Chamber, and they gave us $2,500. So now we're starting with $17,500 to do this work. The other thing is the sponsors. And so they helped us organize how do you reach out to your community. And so, of course, we reached out to the Lions, and they were committed to helping. We also reached out to the mob. Now, the mob was pretty busy with the playground. But, hey, it's a good cause. We'll help where we can. And what they did is that they started to network amongst their members. And it turned out that one of the members, who doesn't even live in town anymore, she had to move to Palo Alto because her daughter had an asthma issue living in Brisbane. They needed to be in a warmer climate. But this person was really excited about the project. They still love Brisbane. And I guess, once you're a mob member, you're always a mob member. And probably the same thing about, being a part of Brisbane. And so her name is Ina, and her husband is Giorgio Atana. And they own a company called Dry Fast, which is a restoration company. So if there's a fire or a flood, they go in there and they clean it up. And so I remember having this meeting with Giorgio. We came out to the community center in March. And this guy, he just has so much energy. He just has a smile a mile wide. And so I bring him into the community center, and he says, yeah, Clint, I'm really excited about this project. How can I help? I said, well, okay, we have these walls that need to be repainted. Okay, I'll do it. I said, oh, well, we also have the hardwood floors here that need to be refinished. Okay, I'll do it. And I showed him the carpet in the library. I said, okay, I'll do it. He said, oh, by the way, do you want me to power wash the outside of the building? I said, yeah, that would be great, And so we provided the material, and he did all the work, hired his guys for free. And so there they are doing the work. And, we did all this work like in about a week or so. And we went pretty quick. So here's the after photo, and we got the paint and the floors look great. But by the way, though, they needed a little bit more work. The floors did, so we had Dan Carter and Mark Salmon do one more sand, one more coat of sealant, and just to make them just right. The new linoleum, Dry Fast didn't do that type of work. But Dan Carter had some buddies in the floor layers unit. And they came in, we bought the material, they laid it for free. Look at the kitchen, right? Now we have that new stovetop, right? This man right here, Larry Purcell, said, okay, I want to be part of that project too. And he donated that. Right? So here we had all these folks, contributing. And remember I told you we raised $17,500. Well, we had some money left over. What else can we do? So we looked outside, behind the community center garden. And, it was overgrown, it was underutilized. And so we thought, maybe, we can take some of this money and give it new life. And so we reached out to John Greenlee. He came up with a sketch of the layout of the park. And then from there, we started to work on it. That's when we had our Rebuilding Together Day. And so Rebuilding Together, they have this event. It's the last Saturday of every month. Of course, there was a lot of prep work before this. We had Tim Chang of Humboldt Tree Service and his buddy Judd and some other chainsaw guys. And they came out there and they were working to clear the site. And we also had Brisbane Recycling donate all of the broken concrete for the retaining walls. And so we had a couple of really strong days. Here we had about 40 to 50 members of the community helping out. Then we had Genentech come with a big crew. So this is where we are today.
And the mob.
Yes, no, definitely a lot of mob members. They're part of the community.
Our kids are getting them.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Kids strapped on their back.
I remember that, yes. Lisa Prim's husband and child. But we had to put the project on hold a little bit. The reason being is that, if you look at the site, it's sloped. And we felt that the park needed to be accessible for everyone. So how do you do that? It needs to be ADA compliant. And you're looking at it, it's like, okay, people did a lot of work here. How do we work with what was already done? Because you could see, if you can, use your mind's eye, that, what a great public space that this could be. And so, I reached out to Mike Glenn, who had a friend of a friend, and who was a landscape architect. And so she came out to the site and said, okay, I see this plan that was approved by the Planning Commission, the Park and Rec Commission and the council. I can work with this and make it ADA compliant. And she just finished it today. She was working her tail off. And so this is what she came up with. And it's a gorgeous plan. So you can just see, how you have the community center where now it's remodeled, and you can have events, and now you can have this event, you can bring it outside. Maybe no longer will the sign be up in the library where the back door is this emergency exit. Now it's like, hey, come on outside and read. And now mothers and with their children can come out here, and it's a great place for them to gather. So Mike Lynn, he's gonna be helping out. Another contractor in town, Paul Gallant, he's got some expertise in doing concrete wall, broken concrete retaining walls, and so he's gonna be helping out as well. And I know that I can rely on the Lions and folks from the mob and other folks in the community to help finish that project. So again, there's another situation where all the components of the community are working together to make something great. And next, I want to move on to Sierra Point. And this is where we are today. Now, back in the 70s or the 60s, I mean, this was a landfill, and it closed in the 70s. I don't know the exact date, but it was closed, and it's been designed for office park development. And so most of the sites, I can use this laser pointer thing, most of the sites have either been developed or they've been given a permit to develop. But only 2 parcels really are left. This is a site, let's see, no, right here. This site here, we own this property, but we lease it to Opus. And this piece of property right here, this is owned by UPC. This site here that we lease to Opus is supposed to be for retail restaurant. And this site here that's owned by UPC is supposed to be for a hotel. And so about 7, 8 years ago, the council felt that maybe we need to make a change with this design. Because as you look, I mean, there really isn't a great public space. We own this parking lot up here, and there is this green space, and there is this green space here. But a lot of this is sloped, and it's kind of small. There's not a lot of things you can do with it. And so the council hired a consultant. They got together with the property owners, and then they came up with a plan that they presented to the community, which is right here. And so by taking this piece of land that we lease, we gave Opus this piece of parcel, this parcel here, which was part of UPC's property. And what we did with UPC's property is that we moved them a little bit north, taking up part of that parking lot that we own. And so you would think, okay, this is a great plan. We're creating this public space, but we had a lot of opposition from the community. And so, but if you have opposition from the community, you need to listen, and you need to engage. And so, what we did was that we brought in feedback from the community. We then took the plan and we sent it to the Open Space and Ecology Committee to get their feedback. We sent it to the Park and Rec Commission to get their feedback. And so with all that information that was gathered, we actually have come up with an alternative plan, which I think is much better than this one. And so with all that feedback that was presented, there was a road. Let me just go back. See right here, there was this road that was in place. And some of the feedback that came out of the Park and Rec Commission was, hey, there's no active recreation. Here it's the parcels are broken up. And so they were only looking at the passive recreation. So by taking out that road, now you've created a 4-acre piece of continuous land. 4 acres. You think of our community park, that's a little over 2 acres. Now the green space, I think, is under 2 acres. So you double the size of the green space in the community garden out here. Then you add in the other green space that is to the east. That's over 5 acres of continuous public space. So the council has created a subcommittee, and Terry and I are on that subcommittee. And so we're looking at how do we, engage the community to make this a special place. Right now, it's like a blank canvas. So, when you look at cities farther south, along the peninsula, and they have much more space than we do. Sierra Point is not very big. And so, you can't have a Google or a Facebook or Electronic Arts where they have this giant campus and they have their beach volleyball or their little soccer fields and things like that. And so what we need to do is we need to share the space. We need to have a space that not only is a benefit for our citizens, but also for the people that work out there. And then you think of the folks that, see property owners that still need to build or apply for permits for their properties. So here, where Opus was, with the retail restaurant thing, that isn't really what they do. They do office buildings. So now we've created an opportunity for them to do an office building. And now they have this great view overlooking the grass, overlooking the marina, overlooking the bay. Right? So that provides, you know, a great incentive to develop that property. UPC to the north. I mean, we would love to have it's a really high-end hotel at that site, and that's what it's calling out for. If you had a high-end hotel out there, that would generate between $2 and $4 million for the city. I mean, that's a significant amount of revenue. Not only would you'd have this great hotel, but you'd have a conference center and a spa, and also great restaurants. So now what you're doing is you're creating amenities that don't exist out at Sierra Point today, all centered around that park. Now, of course, no State of the City address would be complete without talking about the Baylands. And through many hours and years, engaging the community, getting their feedback, we're right at the doorstep of being able to review the draft environmental impact report. All right, that should be out probably in December, maybe January. And so we'll be looking at the impacts that these three plans will have on the land. So we have UPC's plan to the left, the city's alternative in the center, and we have the Credible plan, which is looking at renewable energy on the right. And so they will so in that draft EIR, they will be looking at the impacts. But the city of Brisbane has a great reputation for engaging its community and getting feedback from its community. And the best way that you do that is you need to educate the community. And so what we did was we hired a consultant to work with our appointed officials, to work with the community, to help them understand how to properly read an EIR, how to efficiently and constructively organize your thoughts and concerns so that you can get your point across, so that we make the overall document, the final EIR, that much better. One of the things that the council decided to do, this was a few years ago, was form a sustainability committee for the Baylands. And so currently we have 2 council members, a Park and Rec Commissioner, Open Space and Ecology Committee member, and a Planning Commissioner. And our task is to, how do we come up with a plan that is sustainable for the Baylands development? I mean, that's a pretty big undertaking. You think about it, here we got little Brisbane, and we have this giant project out there. How are we going to do it? I mean, the first thing is you don't reinvent the wheel, right? You look and see what else is happening out in the world. And fortunately for us, there is a project that's happening in Roanoke Park. It's called Sonoma Mountain Village. And what they had done was they partnered with this organization called One Planet Living. And One Planet Living is based out of London. And one of the things that they were a part of this past summer is that they were part of the first One Planet Olympics. And so what One Planet does is they have these 10 principles. Looking at zero carbon, zero waste, transportation, water, wildlife, open space habitat, economic vitality, health and happiness, and some others. And what they do is they have this very stringent set of guidelines that a developer needs to follow. And so that when you partner with One Planet, when you become a One Planet development, you're assured that you will have an extremely sustainable project. And so the reason why we chose One Planet was because of their excellent track record. And they also have someone who has worked with that Sonoma Mountain Village project to work with us. And so let me just show you some of the things that are in this plan. And just, I want to be clear that this plan is these are really goals, dreams, right? These things that are in this plan aren't necessarily going to happen. But I'll let you know that the things that are in this plan were dreams and goals that have happened somewhere else in the world, or planned to happen somewhere else in the world, right? We didn't just throw in things that are kind of pie in the sky. We made sure that the things that were going to be in this plan can be done and they can be achieved. So, when we first started this committee, Ray and I, we made that trip up to the Sonoma Mountain Village project in Rohnert Park. To have a building be energy neutral, let alone energy positive, it was only a one-story building. And over time, now you have buildings that are 4 and 5 stories tall that are energy positive. Right, so just think about that. You have Baylands project. You're having buildings that are generating more energy than what they need. Right, that's the type of building that we need to have out in Baylands. One of the things that we looked at was, are there other ways of generating energy? This is a project that's going to happen on the campus of ASU. And so it's a biomass facility. And what they do is they take the organic matter, which, in some studies show that almost 40% of all the waste that's generated is that complex organic matter. And so what they do is they take that organic matter and they speed up the decomposing of the matter and turn it into green energy. So, Clay had mentioned about the Recology coming on board. That could be a pretty good opportunity for to get material. You have a facility to generate the energy, and this facility here is going to generate 2.4 megawatts of electricity. I couldn't find a good picture for the water treatment plant in the city of San Antonio, but these guys are one of the best in the country, if not one of the best in the world. And so what they have done is that they take their water, they recycle it, and they put it back into the system using commercial and landscaping uses. And then they partnered with this company, to take the leftovers and turn it into energy. And so what they did was this company is building the facility. I think they might have already built the facility. They did it free of charge. And they give the city of San Antonio money. In return, they have a 20-year commitment to sell the energy. Right? So the amount of energy that they're generating from the waste is profitable. Then they take the solids and they turn it into compost. So here you have these two situations where you have liabilities that we considered in the past. Now they become assets for the future. I love this project, or this site here. This is the Kyoto train station. And I got this picture from the California high-speed rail site. And the Kyoto train station, I don't know if anyone's ever been there, it is just awesome. Because not only do all these different rail lines come into this building, they also have light rail, they also have rapid buses, they also have local buses, but it's also a shopping mall with all kinds of department stores. It's got museums, it's got movie theaters, it's it's got all these things going on with it. And so you think about, okay, well, what kind of multimodal station do we want to have out at the Baylands? Maybe we have something like this, because we know with dissolving a redevelopment, it's going to be tough to get the money to do projects like transportation, these stations. And so maybe if we partner with the private sector, and so that they have now a stake in the game, right? They have some skin in the game. We can build these things. So you think about the person who lives in San Mateo. They got a job in the Baylands, so they take the train up, and then maybe they're part of the bicycle sharing program. They get on that bicycle and they ride to work, and then at the end of the day they ride back, and then before they go home, that person decides to get a haircut. That person decides to go to the bank, and then they decide to go to Trader Joe's to get their groceries. They get on the train, they go to their train station, get into the car, and they go home. Right? So now, instead of having the person get on the train and go to their train station and get in their car and drive to go get a haircut, or drive to go to the bank, or drive to go to Trader Joe's, now they've done it. So, you create that situation where now public transportation is more timely than using your automobile. So, that's the type of vision, and spirit that I hope that we create out in the Baylands. With Baylands, there are definitely some issues with that place. It's contaminated. It's going to take time to build it. But that doesn't mean that we can't benefit from the Baylands now. And as like Clay said, come June 30th, we will receive money from Recology for the recycling that goes on in Brisbane. Eventually, that as this site starts to build out, and I think this is a great, project. It's going to be LEED Platinum. I think it's going to set the standard for what we do out in Baylands as far as creating green buildings. And so we also have Sierra Point Lumber, right? They want to remodel their place, providing extra money for the city. And you just think about it, if we can somehow tap into Sierra Point Lumber or some kind of material supplier for the build out of the Baylands, like all that sales tax revenue, right? That to build this project, right? If we kept it here, and that's tremendous amounts of money. One of the things that we talked about on Monday night was maybe having a business tax on storing fuel in Brisbane, right? That currently, that's something that's going on right now. And so, how much that amount will be, we're still working that out. But our goal is to present it to the people for the 2013 ballot, right? So that we're using the Baylands today to help provide a better tomorrow, and we can do it now. All right, so I wanted to finish with this picture because it's about community. All these projects, in order for them to be the best that they can be, it takes all of us, right? The citizens, the nonprofits, the business community, the elected officials, the staff, the city employees, all working together, right, to contribute to the things that we want to see happen in our town. But we also need to make sure that we keep this, right? This is why we all moved here, right? Because we love to be connected with one another. And so as we plan for the future, we always make sure that we hold on to the past. Before I leave, I want to thank the folks that make our town safe and healthy, keep the infrastructure in place, and also provide fun for us. And I'm talking about the city employees and the staff that manages them. We have an excellent team. I mean, this is a wonderful place to live. And, if it wasn't a wonderful place to live, I don't know if I'd have this type of energy and this excitement to do the work that I do. I mean, I rely on these guys all the time, and they give me great advice, and, they've taught me a lot. So let's give it up to all of them. Of course, I definitely wouldn't be here if I didn't have the support of my family. There's a lot of hours that you put into this job, and they support me 100%. They don't always agree with the things that I say, but they always support me. It's tough when you got girls in the family, and you're the only guy. But my wife, she is so supportive. Whatever. Whenever I have a hard meeting, or things don't go your way, because they're not always going to go your way. She grounds me, and she assures me that, okay, Cliff, as long as you stick with it, as long as you are a good listener, and you take an open perspective on it, in the end, the best product will come forward. And so, thank you, Karen, for all your support. My kids, my youngest daughter Claire is 12, my oldest daughter Caitlin is 15, and it's sometimes it's tough when you're doing your community service and you have to lead them, but you also have to be a role model too for your kids, and it just isn't your family. We're part of a bigger family, and so hopefully they understand that, and eventually later on in life, when it's their turn, they're giving back to their community as well. So thank you, girls. All right, so it's been great being the mayor of Brisbane. I mean, it's such a wonderful opportunity. But I'm like Cinderella. The clock is it's ticking. I mean, I can hear the stroke of 12 happening, and by the end of the year, a new council member will be the mayor. I mean, that's how we do it in Brisbane. We elect the city council, and then the council will appoint that person or someone to be the representative of the town, which is the mayor. And but I know I'll be able to take a glass slipper with me. From this experience, and it's been great, and I look forward to engaging with all of you, and thank you so much for attending tonight's State of the City address. Thank you very much.
So does anyone have any questions? Because I think Cliff has What's your question?
I just wanted to say thank you for all of the wonderful things you've highlighted through this evening. It really drives home once again why I love Brisbane and why I think, every community thinks they're special, but they're wrong, because Brisbane really is. And I just wanted to put one bee in the bonnet, and that is, I know the city has done a lot to support the school district, but I was wondering if you could address that briefly, because I know they're looking at bankruptcy in 2015 if things don't change. And I know that's kind of a downer, and I'm sorry, but I just feel like we can't not say a few words about that, and if the city has any plans going forward to support the district, what they have been doing, such and such. I leave it up to you.
I'm going to let the mayor take it now.
Yeah, that definitely is a bee in the bonnet, Barbara. Thanks. But even though we're part of the the same solar system, the city and the school district, we're on different orbits.
I know.
And so the school board is elected by the citizens who are part of the school district. But that doesn't mean that we haven't helped out a ton with the school district. We mow the lawns and provide after school stuff and not just with the Brisbane School District, but also with the Jefferson Union High School District. Before we used to give money for academics to the Jefferson Union High School District, and now we're giving money towards transportation. Though we had a meeting recently with the Jefferson Union High School District, and we showed them how much money in property revenue is going to their school district. Right? Over $3 million from Brisbane.
Yeah.
Right? Over $3 million from Brisbane going to the Jefferson Union High School District, and we send maybe 80 kids there. So I told the superintendent and a couple of the school board members, I said, we got a lot of folks that are grumbling about transportation. We're giving you $3 million. We're sending 80 kids to your school. Tell them you can't slice out some money to send our kids to school. And they said, you raised a really good point. And so I think they're going to address it. And I know that there was a group of parents that were going to a meeting. I don't know what the word was, from the school board from Jefferson High School District, but I think that's something that we need to press. But again, we're the city, and the school district is the school district. But we do live in a unique community, and we're pretty tight. And I do think that if we all work together, that we will help each other to reach our goals. And but in the end, really, the elected officials, they do what the community asks of them. And so it needs to be organized from the community to say, hey, this is what we want. This is the direction that we want you to go. And if an elected official doesn't do that, then they shouldn't be in office. That's just my personal opinion. So hopefully that helps. I guess, are there any other questions?
Since he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, Michelle.
It's not really a question, but earlier when you were introducing people, we neglected to introduce Kevin Fryer, who serves on the PBNR, and also brought the Mission Blue Series to Brisbane. That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Any other questions?
All right. Oh, thank you again. Right, it's all yours.
Please don't go anywhere. So thank you all for coming out. I also want to thank Mayor Cliff and City Manager Clay Holtzman. You can come up here and present you with,
Oh, man.
we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So thank you guys for attending. Wanted to also thank Radisson Hotel and staff, Z-Back Restaurant. Let's give them a round of applause. Our sponsor, Seton Medical Center. Also, this event will be televised or replayed on the Brisbane website. Reminder, our next event is October 25th. Mixer at Ron Davis Real Estate. Also want to just give a round of applause to everyone here, the community. It just takes a community. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.